Hey, welcome to Filler. I'm Joe.
And I'm Steve.
And this title of this episode might make you think that we are here today to talk to you about STIs. And now look, it's a serious topic. I don't want you to laugh.
Okay.
To struggle. And frankly, I don't want to catch them all.
And if you want your doctor to check you thoroughly, you have to let him take a peek at you.
Nice. Nice. What's up?
You know, I've been playing Pokemon with Al lately, and I've been looking for an excuse to use that pun. So thank you for giving me that opportunity.
That worked out great. I'm actually very happy how that worked out.
We did not rehearse that, by the way.
That was not rehearsed at all whatsoever. How have you been, Steven?
I've been all right, you know. We've been very inconsistent with recording this season, and I'm kind of happy and sad about it because I don't want to be pressured to make filler because it's fun and we love it, and you have a shit ton to do to edit it, so I don't want to put that on your plate. But then I'm happy whenever we do it, so I'm glad that we're just kind of doing we want to talk about something, let's make an episode kind of strategy as opposed to like half a year every single week, you know?
Yeah. I feel similarly, although I do feel a little bit better than the last time we recorded. I think I'm like inching my way back to a regular pattern of filler.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the major thing for me right now is grad school. That's what's holding me back.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that a little?
Not really, but I'll get on the therapy couch for a second. Everyone who doesn't really know me personally, I'm currently in grad school for education, and I have about halfway left in my program. I do it on Saturdays, and it's cool. I appreciate that it's on Saturdays because I get to do it outside the work week. It's online, so I get to be like one of my students during COVID, and I shut my camera off. And it's depending on the professor, it's really awesome because some professors are like, hey, you are all professionals. You work full-time jobs. Maybe you are transitioning to teaching. Maybe you are here for salary differentials like I am. Whatever the case might be, we respect your time. And here's all the assignments. We're going to do some chatting. And then like around like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, starts around 8:30 or 9, depending on the class. Around 1 o'clock, you go do independent work, right? Then there's some professors that treat it like it is the most important thing on the planet. And I can tell you, having taught in the classroom, I'm not learning in these classes. There is no theory that can help me and support me. And I've been actively camera on Zoom, 8:30 to 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., and it's not effective. It's just not effective, and it excavates my soul. So those classes kill.
I don't get it because like these are teachers that are trying to teach you how to teach kids, but they're treating you like kids. And even when you're working with kids, you're not supposed to like disrespect them that way and make them seem like they're being, you know, watched all the time. Like you treat them like the adults they want to be and they will rise to meet the moment. So they're going to do that with real adults too.
Steve, you said the quiet part out loud. I think that's the Gestapo coming to get me now.
It's nice knowing you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The best grad classes I've had for education are the ones that have taught me tools to use in the classroom. And we do that through activities in the classes, which that I think is cool. And I have done that with a few classes. Some, it's very, very demeaning and belittling and juvenile. And it's like, that's why it's taking me 10 years to get it, because like my self-respect or ego, pride, I don't care what you call it, was just way too high and not worth the money. Now I'm invested in my school. I'm invested in my career. It's worth the money now. And we're coming to that halfway point, which is good. So I definitely want to keep doing filler. I want filler to be a more regular product of my time and creative efforts. It's just I gotta make more money so that I can feel better about spending more time on doing this, which I'm getting there. So
yeah,
it's good.
You know, it's a hard time to put out creative work right now, but you're already halfway there and you're You're kicking ass, and I'm proud of you for doing it. So let's engage in the adult serious topic of Pokemon.
Thanks, Dad, is something that I never told him because he didn't buy me yellow version. My mom did. So thanks, Mom.
Okay, that seems like a good place to start, actually, because we kind of came into Pokemon in roughly the same way. My very first video game was, like, besides like educational CD-ROMs of like Reader Rabbit and shit, it was like, yeah, my first game was Pokemon Red with a teal Game Boy Color in 1998, 99. I was like 3 or 4 years old. And you were similar, right?
Yeah, I had Pokemon Yellow. They were bundling it together because they thought Yellow and Dandelion Game Boy Color version were the same thing. And man, I think there was like, I'm still not diagnosed, but there was definitely some neurodivergence I could look back on because
it's just enough off.
Yes,
it's
the Pokemon Yellow cartridge.
Yellow, it's Dandelion.
Yes, and it's not the same. It's oh my god. And dude, when we get to Gold version, I was just losing my shit. like, I couldn't do it. I was like, this is a third type of yellow.
I wonder if that would have bothered me if I had my teal Game Boy Color with a copy of blue, because they're not the same blue. But then teal and red doesn't really work either.
But at least you can say it. At least you like you got teal because you like teal. You got red because you like Charizard.
Oh, I didn't. I did not pick this out. I should mention this. This was a surprise because I was like 3 or 4 years old. My dad came home from a work trip. I think he was at an army base in San Antonio or something, and he just like comes home with this thing he picked up on the way. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what a Game Boy was. I think I was only maybe tangentially aware of what Pokemon was. So he just picked out teal and red version. And it took me maybe 4 years to beat it because I was learning to read as I went. It was one of those things of being so young that I was like, I didn't know how to save the game, so I kept starting it over and like being proud when I'd get to Viridian Forest and be like, where am I? And it wasn't until like years later as my mom taught me how to read through Hooked on Phonics and stuff, between that and playing a copy of Pokemon Yellow version because my cousin had it and I just had to have that too. And then just growing up with the games, it kind of taught me some like, I guess word association and like reading strategies from a really early age.
That's really sweet. Even if it took you 4 years to play it, that's like you low-key were playing like a roguelike Pokemon, not purposefully.
Yeah, I had no idea what was happening. I was like, what is Prof Oak?
I also called it Prof Oak for the longest time, and then I think by like second gen, I was like, oh, it's Professor. Like, what's wrong with me? Why did I not understand that?
Yeah, which, you know, having the anime there too helps because it's giving you context for everything, which is why Pokemon Yellow version seems so special because it's not just all the differences between like red and blue and the anime. It's like more based on the anime. You've got Pikachu following you around and you can get all the starters and whatnot. And Jesse and James are in it, which is so cool.
Yeah.
I love that they did that. It's wild that in Japan it was like the 4th version of the same game, not just the 3rd, because like the original red and green were like really crappy, and then they made blue to make it better. And then when they released it here, they turned that blue into our red and blue, and then we all got yellow together once we all got on the same page.
Yes, and I'm not going to lie, I should not have started with yellow. That was a poor choice because that is hard mode, because you start with Pikachu and the first gym is Brock, which is rocks. And like, oh my God, this is before all fairies and grounds and steel and all the other ones come into play. But Pokemon Yellow made me into a video game player.
Same.
Because I was like, I really have to figure out what I'm doing here. Because if you understood the rock, paper, scissors of it all, you could just start with Squirtle and you'll be okay. You'll figure it out. Even like Bulbasaur to some extent, you'll get there. But Pikachu, like you had no choice. You had to go with Pikachu. And then you were just like, nope, I'm going to get wrecked until I figure out how to get the right Pokemon to beat Brock. And then the game opens up because then you have Misty and it's easy enough. Pikachu is like high key way too OP by that point because you had to level him up so hard. And he's never going to be a Raichu, so you just keep leveling.
Yeah. And I think it's cool that in that original game, your starter, they don't really tell you this. Your starter is basically easy, medium, or hard mode.
Yeah.
Because Bulbasaur is good against the first two gym leaders, Squirtle just the first, and Charmander is weak to both.
Yeah.
But it evens out later because by then you're catching more Pokemon and you're trying new things. And in Fire Red and Leaf Green, they actually get around that because Charmander, I think when it becomes Charmeleon, it can learn Metal Claw.
Yeah.
Which is a steel type move, and you can kill rock and ground types with that. But that didn't exist in the original. And the original is a mess. Like the original game is
it's not a good game.
It is coded horribly. It like the whole missing no thing happening and the rumors of like pushing the truck to find Mute. Like you could do that back then because there was no easy internet like we have today.
There were no updates to games.
Nope. If something was buggy, that's just how it was forever. And it is wonderful to look back on, but not that much fun to actually play.
Agreed.
Yeah. When you told me we were doing a Pokemon episode, I was like, okay, I need to calm down because I could go on so many tangents about this. But there are so many ways to look at the different eras of Pokemon. And most of it, I think, is tied to the video games and like the advancements that are made there, and everything else in this media empire kind of falls in line with it.
Right.
So to me, modern Pokemon versus classic Pokemon, there's a couple places you can draw this line. You can either draw the line at Gen 4 or Gen 6.
So you're going to have to talk in terms of games to me because I'm not good with the numbers and where those line up.
Okay, so for you, for anybody else who is unfamiliar, let's go through each gen and say what versions we've played. And maybe to anyone who doesn't know what the gens are but knows the names of the games, they'll follow that too. So Gen 1, you had red, blue, and yellow. You've played yellow.
I had yellow, yep.
And I had red and then yellow. Who was your starter? Oh, wait, no, you had Pikachu for yellow.
You had Pikachu, that was it.
Yeah, I did Bulbasaur and then Charmander on later replays, but I think Bulbasaur will always be my favorite in my heart, but Charmander's kind of, I mean, it becomes Charizard. He's like the best. But
becomes Charizard, yeah. I know.
But then...
It's like the objective cool choice.
It is, you know? And later when I got the remake for Game Boy Advance, when I got Leaf Green, I was like, oh, I'll get Leaf Green because it's the one I didn't have last time. And then I didn't do that for the rest of the remakes because I'm like, this is just for nostalgia. I'm just going to replay the exact game I had. Okay, Gen 2, Gold, Silver, and Crystal. What'd you have?
I had Silver, and I started with Totodile, who remains like one of, if not my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah, Gen 2 might be my favorite, at least favorite region. With Johto.
Johto is amazing.
Oh my God, we could get into this forever. But yeah, Johto, Silver, Cyndaquil, the fact that it was 2 full campaigns is crazy.
And they never did it again, which bothers me so much because they raised the bar so hard on the second time around and no game ever met that after.
No.
And in different ways, like, they're good or they're bad or whatever. We can say whatever the case might be, but like, why did you just never replicate that? Literally every person I've talked to that plays Pokemon is like, yo, second gen has 2 campaigns. That's the best thing.
And it's crazy because there have been other sequels or reimaginings as opposed to like the third version thing. Like Black 2 comes to mind, or Black and White 2 are direct sequels to Black and White, but Gen 2 is a sequel to Gen 1.
Right.
Like to the point where it is 3 years later, you go back to Kanto after you beat the main game in Johto, and then you're doing 8 new gyms in Kanto, which you'll recognize from playing Gen 1.
Yes.
But you'll see what's different because some of the gym leaders have changed and some of the geography of Kanto has changed. And it's a brilliant idea. And especially when you have a secret final boss at the end where you battle yourself. You fight
It was
Red.
so good.
Like it is the cool, like that is one of those moments I'll always remember as so much more epic in my mind than you'd think for this tiny 8-bit, barely colored screen.
Yeah.
To just walking up Mount Silver and then being surprised at the very end. You don't know what the hell is going to be at the top of this mountain, and it's Red, the guy you played as last time and has just spent 3 years like meditating on a mountain with like with a Charizard and a Snorlax and the Pikachu. Like it's so cool, and being able to beat him.
I know we're giving heavy Unk energy.
I know.
Because it's like a lot of nostalgia, and I know that there are going to be people younger than us that do engage with these older Pokemon games and look at them and go, "Oh, I can see why this is big. I can see why it was major." But I don't think anyone will ever feel the zeitgeist of it. It didn't. Like, my parents were way beyond this. So when this happened in Silver version for me, I was like, Mom, I'm fighting myself. And she goes, oh, that's cool, honey.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand how big of a deal this is.
And that's interesting, right? Because the way Pokemon games are made now, it's been a franchise for what, 30 years, 25 years?
This is the 30th year.
30th year. Yeah, 1996. Yeah, wow. They know that. They know that they have fans that grew up with this and now have kids of their own that they are sharing this with. And they have to appeal to both of them, which is crazy.
Which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, but
that's
as we go
a big theme in the
on,
later games.
Yeah, we'll get into Pokemon banking on nostalgia.
Silver version ripped. I also got gold. I was like, I hate this because Ho is just not as cool as Lugia.
But it's cool that you can catch both in both games.
Yes, it's always great to have options, but it's like when picking the cartridge itself or the box art and whatnot, Lugia was the one.
Same.
Especially because I personally think Ho-Oh is at its best as the mythical Pokemon in the first
episode of the show. Yeah.
Yes, that's Ho-Oh when he is coolest. When Ho-Oh becomes like an actual Pokemon, like it's like a rainbow freaking bird. Like I don't care.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Whereas, like, Lugia is like this thing under the sea. Like it's like almost Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
Like it's so cool.
It's exciting in that moment that you're like, that's the thing Ash saw. It's like you're
right.
That was a brilliant move to be like, okay, the world will always be bigger than you think, which is why we're now waiting on Gen 10, for 30 years. So it makes sense, but you're right. Sometimes the mystery is more interesting than what you actually get. But we'll get to that later too.
Oh, we will get to that. So Gen 3 then, that's what, Ruby and Sapphire?
Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and the remakes of Gen 1, Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Yes. So I was on OG, I was a Sapphire boy. On any ROMs and emulators and replays later, I was an Emerald guy.
Now the Gestapo's going to come for you. Nintendo ninjas are going to come get you like, emulator. Yeah, Ruby was mine, and then and then Leaf Green, and then Emerald, and then I got a copy of Fire Red because I thought, okay, do you remember when you got, did you say you had Fire Red or Leaf Green?
I have Leaf Green, or I had Leaf Green.
Do you remember getting Leaf Green and it came with that wireless connector pack thing?
Yeah.
I thought that they were going to include that forever. So one day I just asked my dad to buy me a copy of Fire Red, and he did. And then I opened it and the pack wasn't in there. And I was like, oh, I just have this game I've already played. I didn't even get the thing that I wanted. I guess I'll play it again too. Why not? And but there was something interesting for me about Gen 3 because, well, first of all, it's the only Pokemon game in 60 FPS, which is crazy.
It is.
It really makes a big jump in graphical quality and like mythology in the world. And it's like, it's a great game. It's a classic. It's probably the gen I've replayed the most. But I grew up an only child and didn't have a lot of friends to play with. So gotta catch 'em all was never going to happen for me.
Right, because you'd have to trade to evolve, and there was only certain ones in one game and others in another.
However, I had a workaround, not to catch 'em all, but to at least start my copy of Emerald version with all 3 starters. For you see, my first Game Boy Advance was actually the Game Boy Player attachment for the Nintendo GameCube.
Ooh.
Which has a link cable port.
Incredible.
So by the time I actually got a Game Boy Advance SP and Emerald and a link cable,
you were trading with yourself.
I had to unfortunately clear my file on Ruby and restart it 2 more times just to trade over the other 2 starters to my Emerald. And let me tell you, that might still be my favorite experience because I felt like I broke the game.
Yeah.
Because you make that choice of your starter of like, okay, what advantages am I going to have? What like things am I going to do better in here versus here? To have all 3 from the start, and 2 of them are leveling up faster because Pokemon you get from trades level faster.
Yep.
I felt like a genius, and it made the loneliness so much more comfortable. Anyway.
I think Gen 3, as much as I love Gen 2 for Johto, I think I love Gen 3 for its mechanics.
Yeah.
This was the secret base era, right?
Secret bases, double battles.
Yeah. Every Pokemon battle should be a double battle, frankly. Like, they're so fun. And, like, there's more strategy to it. It's just more interesting.
Competitively, it is.
Yeah, I know it is. But, like, I wish in the game everything was a double battle.
Oh, then you should play Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. It's on NSO now.
Yes, I know. And I feel like I'm supposed to play Coliseum first.
You should. I don't know why they released XD first on NSO.
Yeah.
It's dumb, but
Exactly.
I loved XD. I've traded Pokemon all the way up from Gen 3, which was this era, all the way up to Gen 9 through the different methods that they've had over the years. And to this day, I still have the Houndoom and Espeon that led my team in that game.
Is XD the same type of Pokemon game? Like you walk around, catch them like gym battles and stuff, or is it different?
No, it is a full RPG, and it's a bigger one than Coliseum because it's more of the focus. Because Coliseum was like half story, half like the GameCube's version of Stadium, where it was like Battle Sim, where you connect to your Game Boy games. But XD is like really leaning into fleshing out the region, and it's a sequel to Coliseum, like kind of distant. Like
Gotcha.
I don't know if there's any connection between the main characters of those 2 games, but I loved XD and figuring out.
I gotta play XD then.
Yeah, figuring out how to capture and purify Shadow Lugia was.
That sounds fun. And especially because it's a full blown RPG.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Gen 3.
Mm-hmm.
Gen 4 was
Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, and the remakes of Gold and Silver. Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
So I got Soul Silver, had to, obviously, which came with the best gadget ever, the Pokemon pedometer that you earn XP by walking. Yes. And I was also, you said it was Pearl, Diamond, and Platinum?
Yeah.
I was Diamond because I like Dialga more than Palkia.
Yeah.
But to be frank, I truly I caught Dialga. I beat the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember anything else about this gen. Like this is where it starts to lose me.
So same. So for some reason, even though I've played all of the third games up to this point, like I played Yellow and Crystal and Emerald, Platinum for some reason was the first time that I felt fatigue from playing just the same game again after playing Diamond.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because, well, even though Platinum is much better, like they fix a lot of the typing issues of like there only being like one fire Pokemon you can catch outside of your starter in the whole region. There's really dumb shit about Diamond and Pearl, but Platinum fixed a lot of things. But last time when they did a remake, they released it in between Ruby and Sapphire and the third version, Emerald.
Mm-hmm.
This time they just did Diamond and Pearl and then Platinum and then Heart Gold and Soul Silver. And I'm like, okay, this is a lot of Sinnoh at once. And the game's really slow and the map is massive.
Yeah.
It's like I did all this already. And I'm starting to get at this point in life where I think I'm done with Pokemon. which is a fair
because
thing
we're grown
to
up.
think. Yeah.
We're like teenagers at this point. You're looking for something a little edgier.
Yeah, I want to play
like,
Call of Duty. And
exactly.
yeah.
This is where I was playing like World of Warcraft, and I was like, there's more depth here than there is in other video games. Also Call of Duty too. Yeah. Also the Pokemon, the legendaries, which like we talk about this with musical instruments, and I'm sure we have talked about it in regards to books and movies and whatever. We say, and not just you and me, Steve, but we say as like people, don't judge a book by its cover.
Mm-hmm.
Don't judge a guitar by the way it looks.
Mm-hmm.
We should be listening to things with our ears, not with our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
We say that, but we don't do that in practice. And that's just a human thing. Like that's an okay thing. Like it's not, I think that's a good tension to have. This gen, I think Dialga kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I think Palkia kind of sucks. And Giratina, like the third, like the legendary
Devil Dragon, yeah.
You looked like a millipede. Like I was like, a millipede showed up in like a water shoe that I was wearing in my backyard when I was a kid.
Right now.
And so when I saw that Giratina, I was like, I'm supposed to like you? You're the devil Pokemon. Go to hell. I'm not getting platinum. Like, and so I think I just blocked this one out because I didn't enjoy it.
So this is where I fell off. Platinum was where I stopped playing, and Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I feel so bad. That was where I cut off because Heart Gold and Soul Silver are like maybe the best in the whole series. They're a remake of Gen 2 that makes it even better.
Fantastic remakes.
Yeah. But, from a distance, I was just kind of like, okay, Dialga and Palkia and Giratina, and then seeing the mascots for the upcoming Black and White games, Reshiram and Zekrom, I was like, these look like Yu-Gi-Oh! Dragons.
Yes.
It's like they're losing what it is. Like, yeah, I like the cool...
Agreed.
Like, edgy big monsters in Pokemon as much as the cute ones, but even like Groudon in Ruby had some cartoonishness to it. It was like terrifying, but also had these eyes that were kind of doofy and like the little fangs and stuff. Like there was still some whimsy to it where I was like, this is getting like serious
in a bad way.
And yet I'm still outgrowing it.
Right.
Plus like, yeah, when we're teenagers, it's like, why I don't want to keep up with this little kid shit. Right. Well, when I got to mid to late high school, my girlfriend at the time had a younger sister that had played Black, and she told me how good it was and let me borrow it.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with it. It was amazing. It's hands down the most underrated game in the series, like, because it has the best story, the best like characters, and does some things that are surprisingly different when you'd think on the surface, like, oh, their big innovation is that they ran out of gems to name them. So now it's just black and white. They officially ran out of colors.
Yeah.
And, oh, it's different this time, though, because the white dragon's on Pokemon Black and vice versa. But then I played it and I was like, oh, this is the best. And they did this really weird thing where it's all new Pokemon. It's not until you beat the game.
Finally.
Yeah, it's not until you beat the game that you can start to see any of the other ones and transfer up ones from your old games.
Which is like Johto-esque, right? Like or like second gen-esque, where it's like there's a cool new mechanic that you get only after beating the game.
Yes. But that was an interesting and wild thing for them to do because, as we've kind of said, Pokemon's entire appeal is nostalgia. It gets its hooks into you when you're a kid, and then it keeps you along by always kind of chasing the dragon of that first step out of your door on your adventure with your starter and a whole new world to explore. They're trying to capture that every time, and sometimes it's more successful than others. So they took a big risk by being like, here's a fucking ice cream. Here's a fucking trash bag that evolves into a bigger trash bag.
Which is much better than Grimer and Muck.
It is,
so I'm down. Like,
because they're
I'm down with
just
that.
sludge. And that's what drives me crazy about the Gen 1ers that are like, oh, it was better back then. It's like, there's a ball that evolves by rolling over. There's a seal named Seal. It's like they were not firing on all cylinders from the beginning. You got to let them do some of the dumb shit to find the cool new things.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Okay.
This is I only echo everything you're saying. I loved Black's narrative. I didn't, or Black and White. I just never played the other version.
Yeah.
I never played the sequel because I heard that the story wasn't as good. But I think as a younger video game player, like that's to my own detriment. I think I was like, oh, it's not as good as Black and White. Like I'm not going to play Black and White 2. But like I should have just gotten over myself because Black and White story was that good that it's like just enjoy being in that world some more. But I would not replay those games because something that I kind of started to learn, especially when we get to Pokemon X and Y, I don't think I'm a fan of the Nintendo DS.
Okay, this is an interesting topic.
Uh-huh.
So real quick, I will say Black 2, not as good of a story, but very good. And it's more interesting just to see how Unova has changed in the last couple years and where the characters you left off are, and how if you tie in your save file with the first one, you can like get these extra cutscenes that hint at what the guy you played as last time is up to now. So it's very much like Gen 1 to 2 with the sequel of it. And I think it's way more interesting than them just being like, okay, I guess now we have to do Pokemon Gray. Like, nope, they're doing full sequel, and it's totally worth it. But the Nintendo DS did indeed have 3 full regions, 2 generations.
I got real tired, man.
And like,
real tired.
Yeah.
So part of this, I'm totally going to own up as being a personal thing. I think, generally speaking, the DS is not my favorite Nintendo device. I love that company's attempts at being weird.
Yes.
And I love that's their thing, is to be weird. That's why the Switch is so successful.
Right.
Because they literally made a dual screen console out of one screen. Because you could sit in handheld mode or you could dock it and now it's your full console, right? So they got the dual screen thing kind of, you know? Like the Wii U, awful. They tried it, but awful. I am so overwhelmed having the 2 screens at once when I'm playing a game, but I did like, and I feel like it was, again, Soul Silver, the way they set up the top screen, that's your action. That's where we're walking around, we're doing our stuff, we're going around, like we're fighting, attacking, all that good stuff. Catching. The bottom screen, that's like your start menu.
Yes.
That's your Pokemon. And I appreciated how that functioned and how that worked.
It's good economic use of the second screen.
Exactly. But like you said, 3 regions, 2 gens, I'm burnt out. I don't need like it. I just didn't want another dual screen Pokemon thing. So after the blahness of Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, after the awesome Black and White, but like I didn't really care to have the sequel, so I didn't even play it. Then we get to X and Y, and it was like Xerneas
and Yveltal. Yeah.
The bird looked cool, but I'm tired of bird legendaries because we had the legendary trio in Gen 1, and we had Lugia and Ho-Oh. Why do we keep coming back to birds? And then okay, in that case, Joe, just get Pokemon X. So I get a deer. And the X is in the antlers. That's dumb, really dude.
But the bird really is dumb. A Y.
And that's why it's
both
a cooler
look like
bird.
Ys to me. It's really dumb.
Yeah, I agree.
But, okay, so yeah, we're getting a little ahead. X and Y was, okay, this is why I say there are 2 big turning points where you could mark the modern Pokemon line somewhere. So you could mark it at Gen 4 because that's where the gameplay actually got good because of something called the physical special split. Your Pokemon stats in the original games, like the first 2 gens, you had attack, defense, speed, and special. And your special or your speed dictated your critical hit rate, and your special stat dictated your special attack and defense. But special attacks were tied specifically to types. So, for example, psychic moves were always special attacks, which is why psychic type was always broken in Gen 1. Like, psychic was just by far too strong. And we didn't have dark types yet to fight against it. So they start to fix this over time, and they split the special stat into special attack and special defense, but they don't fix the problem about types being tied to special or physical. So what they do instead, finally in Gen 4, is they make the moves themselves physical or special, and that ties into the physical attack or special attack and defense.
Right.
That is where Pokemon as we know it to play really started, where it all really makes sense. The other thing that you could mark as the beginning of modern Pokemon versus classic is Gen 6, X and Y on the 3DS, the first 3D mainline, like get all 8 gyms, gotta catch them all Pokemon game, which came with a lot of changes that people were not sure how to take. The biggest of which being the change to experience. So the way this item called the experience share used to work is you would attach it to one Pokemon and it would get half of the amount of experience that your battling Pokemon would get, even if it never switched into the battle.
Right.
They changed it, so now that item is a key item, and you can turn it on or off, but it will apply to all of your Pokemon. So your entire team will gain experience, even if only one of them is in the battle. A lot of people did not like this change because they thought it made it way too easy.
Yep.
And I agree, it does make it very easy, but hot take, I like it.
I agree.
And you know why?
It's fun.
Because when that game came out, I was a freshman in college, and I was like, I'm going to beat this whole fucking game in one weekend, and then I'm going to get back to my classes. So I appreciated being able to just steamroll through it and not have to grind with each Pokemon.
Right.
And I know that because I've been trying to replay old games, and when you have to switch them in one at a time and just beat up the same Rattata and Pidgey and whatever,
it's irritating.
It's mind-numbingly boring.
Yeah.
And
no, I agree with you.
They've changed this over time now so that they just take away the options as we go. It's like now it's not even XP share anymore. It's just they all get the experience. What are you going to do about it? Give us the money. And you know what? I'm okay with that because I would like to have my time back, please. But what I don't like is they started doing something very annoying that makes the game too easy and less interesting overall. They start really with Gen 7. Sorry, there's not a lot to say about X and Y. I don't like it very much. But they start with Gen 7. Having your rival get the Pokemon that's weak to yours instead of...
Which doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
Your rival should be better than you because that's what makes you want to get better.
That's what makes them a rival.
Right. I agree.
Up to this point, like Gens 1 through 4, your rival is always somebody that's either like a friendly competitor, but like shows up every now and then and is just kind of like a challenge, like a skill check at different points in the story. Sometimes he's an asshole. Sometimes he's like the son of Giovanni, the crime boss. And sometimes he's just like a competitive neighbor. But with Gen 5, they did an interesting thing where they have like the competent trainer have the Pokemon that's strong against your starter and the weaker one be weaker. And that fits with their characters, and it's cool to have a little trio.
Right.
Gen 6, they make this stupid... They try to do the same thing with Serena and Shauna. Or, yeah, if you play as the guy, Caleb, then if you have Serena as your main rival who's good, Shauna who's weak, and then these other two that just like to dance and be nerdy, it's really dumb. And then these people, this is where the problem gets really bad. They go on the whole adventure with you, and they won't shut up.
Yeah.
They handhold you through the whole thing, and you're just kind of being guided through a half-ass story. I don't know. This was where the cracks really started to show with the series becoming too easy. And no, it's not just because we got older and we're still playing games made for kids. It's they decided to make it easier. And there are pros and cons to that.
We're talking about X and also Sun and Moon too, right?
Yeah, to your point about the DS having too many games, so did the 3DS, because X and Y didn't get a third version or a sequel or anything, but we did get Sun and Moon and then 2 separate third versions, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It was like, so it wasn't a sequel like Black 2 and White 2. It was just kind of like they made Pokemon Stars or whatever and then split that in 2 with the same mascot legendary.
Yeah.
And it's a waste of time and I hate it.
So I literally wrote Moon in our notes because I don't think I played this gen. I think I was like fully like, this is dumb, I'm out. After X and Y, I was like, I just don't care. To move on to good things.
Yes.
After this, now we're in Switch territory, Switch 1. And we get Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu.
Yeah.
Which was
the third time in Kanto
remake of Gen 1, which like I didn't care. So I had to go with Let's Go Eevee because
Same.
I already had yellow version way back when. So I did that. And it was a fine remake. I found it to be way too easy, but we noted plenty of reasons why it was way too easy. But at the same time, it's Switch 1. We have a whole new generation of kids because at this point, probably like 20 years out since OG Pokemon.
Yeah, 2021.
Right. So
like
that makes sense. So we have like about a generation gap from the first one to this third remake or whatever. I like that it was easy so that this could be like a my first Pokemon thing.
Yes.
On the Switch 1 for kids. Like I'm down with that. Like I hate all the neckbeards that complain about it online who are like, just make a game for me and all my gray hair. Like, shut up, bro. Like go play Elden Ring and cry about it.
Yeah.
Like like know your role. Like when we're playing these games, like we know they're for kids, so we can critique them, but also be like, yeah, it's for kids. So it is what it is. Like I'm just trying to have a good time.
Yeah. And, you know, there's something interesting about Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee in that they're cutesy and they're easy and whatnot, but they also bring in a lot of elements from Pokemon Go in that you catch like that. I would always play the game in handheld so I wouldn't have to do it because I found it very annoying, but I got the idea, and I got that they wanted to kind of bridge the gap for a lot of people that had gotten back into Pokemon and didn't, because of Pokemon Go, and didn't know where to start with the Switch now that thing was selling like crazy and it was like on track to even surpass the DS, their previous highest selling piece of hardware ever.
Right.
But Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are forgotten about a lot because they were this kind of like dip the toe in before the real 8th gen, which was Sword and Shield. My least favorite games in the series.
The worst games. I hated. I was so excited for Sword and Shield for the exact reason you're talking about. It's the first mainline game on the Switch. The story sucked. This was the fashion one, right?
No, that was 6 because it was France. Because Kalos is like France. This was England and Galar.
So what was the brothers?
The brothers. Yes. Yeah. The champion and then your rival, who's the first one to just fully be like, I'll pick the one that's weak to you because I'm going to be great. Like, okay. I hate him.
I got to the end. I literally got to the end of this game.
Oh, wait,
got
sorry.
To the very
guy
end.
before was the one that did the weak to you for the first time thing. That was How, but Hop is basically the same character. It's really stupid. Sorry, go ahead.
Hop's the same thing. I got to the very end of Sword, and like I think whatever happened in the story, I can't remember it. I actually like blacked it out. I think I was the reveal of like the brothers like being relevant to the legendaries or like Leonardo's Liars. Yeah.
Their name, I'm not kidding. Their names were Swordward and Shieldbert.
And I was like, this is dumb. This is so dumb. It's like not even like if I was a little kid, if I was like an 8-year-old playing like, let's say 2nd gen, and I got to Swordward and Shieldbert, I'd be like, SpongeBob did this better.
Yeah,
like it's like, it sounds like a bad SpongeBob bit.
My mouth was agape when these two assholes just appeared out of nowhere. And I was like, this is the post game. This is the series that had the Battle Frontier in Gen 3 and 4.
This is the series that had a whole hidden campaign that no one knew about until the end of Gen 2. Come on. It was so lazy, so disappointing, and even more so now because I was spending my money on what was like, it wasn't just like a gift from my mom or something that I would like save up pennies for and then she'd help get for me. This is now like I'm going to go have some fun playing the new Pokemon game on the Switch, which I love so much. And then I was like, this sucks. I hate everything about it.
Yeah. I had that moment of denial at the beginning where I'm stepping out the house for the first time and I hear the beautiful music and I'm seeing the presentation because it's the first time on like the big screen besides like a Pokemon XD or something that's like, oh my God, like it's the adventure begins again, you know? And then it just keeps going and I'm like, I'm on a track. Like here's what's like, you don't notice when you're playing in like a 2D top down sprite game, like the first 5 gens or whatever, that you're being railroaded because it's just, you're immersed in the world because that's all it is, you know? But when you start making 3D games, but there's still only ever one way to go, the limitation becomes more clear. They throw in the wild area that you can roam freely, and it just looks like shit, and the Pokemon pop in and out all the time. They're over-leveled, so there's no scaling to where you are. And it's literally just, it feels like something they just tacked on because they didn't have enough time to build the game this way. And we know that they didn't because they didn't do it until the next one. So it's like this weird half step. And between that and no voice acting.
Which is weird when they are 3D characters.
Yes, I never cared in Gen 6 or 7 because I'm like, this is a handheld. I don't care. But now I'm playing this on the big screen, and I'm like, you're opening your game with this guy speaking on a giant soccer pitch, and his mouth is just moving, and no sound is coming out. And like the loud sound of the button click to get through the next dialogue option is like, it makes it more jarring to see how empty it is. And they still haven't fixed this. That's what drives me crazy is these like minuscule bits of progression that the series makes, because they're so tied into their timeline of tying in the merch and the anime and the card game and everything to make it the $150 billion biggest media franchise in the world that doesn't lead to better products.
Yes.
And this problem, unfortunately, becomes even bigger with the latest generation, Gen 9.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that because there is something in between.
We got to branch off for a second, and we have to talk about the attempt at meeting players with something new. So every now and then Pokemon would shoot off and we'd get like weird games. We'd get like the pinball games on Game Boy, or we'd get Coliseum, XD, Gale of Darkness. We would get Mystery Dungeon, all those like little spin-off games, which I never really played or gave a crap about, unless, again, sorry, Nintendo, I'd like tried it on a ROM and I was like, oh, good, I'm glad I didn't pay for this. It was just like, they were all novelty and gimmicky kind of games to me. And so finally there was like a quote unquote mature spinoff with Legends Arceus.
Yes.
It was cool because it was free roaming. It was open world. It was more of an action RPG.
Yes.
Because you would like hit the face buttons and move around while there was battles going on. Kind of similar to what you were saying about Pokemon Go and Let's Go Eevee. Like you literally had to like throw the Pokeball, I think, with the analog stick and the trigger. Like it was cool. It was like, I liked this new gameplay loop. It was fun that they were trying something different. I kind of wished, because the whole thing was set in the past of what region did they choose?
It was Sinnoh, so they called it Hisui at the time. Okay.
But yeah, but like, so the past of Sinnoh, I really wish we got like fossil Pokemon or like older Pokemon, or like older as in like new to us. And
besides like the Hisuian versions of some of the,
Right. And I think for me, that was disappointing, was that like, you're giving us this whole new gameplay style that has now become its own mini franchise with ZA,
Mhm.
right? And it's just like you keep recycling crap.
Yeah.
As good as it was, which like it was fine. I didn't beat it. I never went back to it. I just don't think the Legends series is for me when it comes down to it. I wish if they were trying to make like a more mature Pokemon, I would wanted something more in line with Gen 9, which we could talk about when we get there. But Legends for me was a miss. So much so that I didn't even play ZA because I don't like Galar. So I don't need to go back to France.
So so Legends Arceus is one of my favorite Pokemon games.
That's great. I'm glad.
Because I do really appreciate the changes to like, having more open worlds, very heavily Breath of the Wild inspired. Also very like Dark Souls in ways, which I know that everybody says that about video games. Like it's the Dark Souls of Pokemon, but like there's actual like timed response, like action, like you said, like your trainer is actually in danger and you have to get out of the way of these monsters in the world that I think the setting is really cool for, because it's kind of before the time of people knowing how to train and catch Pokemon. So I like that it's set in the past. I like that it's kind of fan fiction-y in a good way, where like it's so long ago and it's such a weird thing that somebody from the real world, I guess, got randomly sent, like isekai'd into the past. Like I don't know why. I don't care. It's cool. My big point of comparison is Age of Calamity, the Hyrule Warriors game that fucking sucks. But it's what I really like, besides the exploration of the different areas and stuff, is that the battles are different with the speed style and strong style moves. Mm-hmm. In a way that you can't have multiplayer, which means there can't be two versions, which means there's only one game and you can catch everything that is available to you in this game in the game.
Right.
So it's not as much of this gimmicky, like, oh, you got to have two versions and you got to like, connect with your friends and catch them all. It is meant to be a contained experience, and I really like it. And I think it was the most interesting Pokemon's felt in years to me, especially because it actually started to capture the feeling of going out and wanting to catch them all, because you have to catch large quantities of them to get all the data.
That's the genuine point of the game, is to build the Pokedex that you try to fill in other games, right?
Which makes way more sense than like sending some 10-year-old out to catch one of everything that you already have info about, because like we have the internet now. Like it just anyway, Arceus showed what was possible for the series, and it still kind of runs like shit, but it gets away with it because of this old painterly art style that it's got and everything. But when you start to apply some of these design elements to the mainline games in Gen 9, you get mixed results if you don't have the time to make it look as good as it should. And before we talk about it, I'm just going to say, let's just skip talking about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, because we also forgot.
Didn't even know those were games.
We also forgot Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which are legitimately the best 3DS games, because they're everything that works about X and Y, but set in Hoenn, which is a bigger, more interesting region. So
yes.
Oh, and there's fairy types in Gen 6. There's so much you could talk about. But anyway, Gen 9, Scarlet and Violet.
You could start, because I know you have feelings.
The biggest missed potential. It's just the biggest missed potential in the series, because I love it with the biggest asterisk. It has so much of what makes Arceus work, in that you are free roaming for the whole region. You can spend hours catching up to like 30 different Pokemon in the tutorial before you even get to the school that you're supposed to walk right to when the game starts. I didn't even know that there was going to be a day-night cycle in the game, because I just stayed in the intro area catching Pokemon, having fun like a child. That's good. And I don't want people to say it is an objectively terrible game when it can pull off things like that.
Yes.
But it does have some of the worst performance issues, some of the laziest texturing, and just some of the most rushed, half-assed, poor quality elements of any game in the series. And that makes me so mad because it got so much worse reviews and slightly lower sales than Sword and Shield because of it, even though it has so much more to offer than those games.
We had two very different experiences with Scarlet and Violet. I read all those reviews. I know that how you felt about it. I thought the whole concept of Koraidon and Miraidon was like dumb.
Yeah.
They were dragons that I rode.
As a motorcycle, yeah.
That's kind of stupid. I've gotten bikes as key items in previous games. Why is it a Pokemon now?
Yeah.
So it looked dumb to me from the outside. And at this point, I was also like out because I just hadn't cared about Pokemon legitimately. So I'm talking to my friend Ray, who you met, and Ray's a big Pokemon fan. And they gave me a Nintendo gift card for Hanukkah this past December. And they were like, go get Pokemon on me. This is, try it because it sucks on Switch, but on Switch 2, it's really good. Like it runs better. And so me having all these like negative like predispositions about it, I was like, I got to try it, but I don't want to do it on my dime. I love Violet.
Yeah.
Even when there's like they're not game breaking on Switch 2.
Yeah, I never had anything.
When there's like stupid bugs that happen where like you can't see the Pokemon in the battle.
Yeah.
like that's dumb because you want to. But like, dude, I don't care. Like I love that my Miraidon kept getting like stupid skills that like at the end of the game, apparently you have to like climb in order to get to those like little stakes in the ground. And I was like, I didn't even think that I could climb in this. And so I'm doing the stakes in Area 0 right now. And I'm like, I beat the Elite Four. I beat everything. And I loved it so much. So much so like I haven't picked it up because I don't want it to end. But like I got to get those legendaries because I don't even know who the legendaries are in this one. So I truly love this gen because I came into it after the hype and after the reviews, and I didn't pay for it because I was already full of such trepidation.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think it is a missed opportunity. It is such unused potential because they gave us like a half-baked game at launch. But for my entrance, like I'm ready for wins and waves.
Yeah.
Based on my experience with this. However, with an asterisk, like you said, I'm probably going to wait like a couple months before Winds and Waves is out to get some updates under its belt, and then I'll get it.
Yeah. So you're bringing up a lot of interesting points here in that it was obvious when Scarlet and Violet was announced that it was too soon. It came out within the same year as Arceus, and that's just too soon for one studio, Game Freak, to make it. And it was just clear that when it came out, it was not finished. When I tell you the end of that game is the best, like the best ending.
Yeah.
Like, I mean it. And it gave me so many good feelings, and it's like The Last Jedi.
Yep.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
It is like half of a great experience and half kind of terrible, and it just depends on which side of that fence you fall on. That's how I feel about Scarlet and Violet. I think it deserves a lot of praise for what it tried to do and a lot of chastising for what it wasn't given time to be finished on. And that's what makes Legend ZA such a disappointment, because I didn't even get it because I loved Arceus. And instead of doing something like that that's interesting and expansive, it's this weird, everything takes place in a city thing that legitimately has interesting combat. That's the one thing I think does seem good and forward thinking for the series. We all got excited after how bad Scarlet turned out with its rush job.
Right.
We all got excited to see that Legend ZA wasn't coming out until later than expected. Like, I think it got announced in 2024 and was set to release in 2025. I've never seen anything like this from a fan base where everybody collectively went, yes, it's going to take longer. Because everyone was like, yes, okay, if they take the time, this could be good. And yet somehow it wasn't, because I think part of it was because they had to make a Switch game that was also a Switch 2 game, which kind of limits how good it can be.
Yeah.
Because you have to keep both versions in mind. But now, Winds and Waves, Gen 10, is fully made for Switch 2. And it's not coming out till 2027.
Beautiful.
So
take your time.
I'm hoping that's why I am also trepidatious about this. And that, like, when I saw it get announced, I was like, I've been here. I've been tricked. I've been following this for as long as I could read. I'm not falling for it again.
Yeah.
Unless I am given proof either through reviews or my own like witnessing of it that it is good.
Yeah.
And I put myself to the test with that with Pokemon Pokopia.
So you could speak to this because I have not played Pokopia.
There's not a lot to say. It's just Animal Crossing and Minecraft, but with Pokemon. And it's wonderful. It has a surprisingly compelling and heartfelt story to it because it's basically like this post-apocalypse where there's no humans left and all the cities of Kanto are ruined, and you are just finding Pokemon to make like a new civilization with, and everybody's just sweet and helpful and building things together, and you're kind of uncovering what happened to the humans because no one can remember.
Sounds pretty optimistic and exactly like what we're going through right now, just before.
Yeah, I'd like to think that, my dog would hang out with a shapeshifter and be like, I don't know where Steve and Allison went, but like, I hope they're doing okay.
Yeah, let's go make you a doghouse.
Yeah. No, it's very good, and it's probably my favorite cozy game, but I only have so much of an appetite for games like that. And this is what brings me to my ultimate point, I think, about Pokemon. And I want to know what you think about this. My thesis statement is Pokemon does not have original ideas. Here's why. Digimon came first. Pokemon kind of rode a lot of the success of Digimon and blew it up by streamlining things. You knew exactly what you were getting with each Pokemon game, where Digimon would be more willing to experiment and try different genres, but Pokemon stuck to its thing and knew how to build the brand outward. Merchandise, anime, but once you've sold all the toys and a kid has every Pokemon in a plushie or an action figure or whatever, and once they've somehow convinced their parents to buy them 2 Game Boys and red and blue and yellow and trade them all to themselves to complete the Pokedex, how do we keep them buying things? Trading cards. Trading cards are basically gambling. You're buying booster packs, not knowing what you're going to get, hoping that you pull the Charizard or whatever. But what do we do with these trading cards? How do we play the game? Well, Wizards of the Coast makes Magic the Gathering. Let's just make it Magic the Gathering for kids. Okay, so it's also going to be 60 card decks with 7 card hands, and half of the deck is going to be these useless fucking symbols. Energy that work like lands. But the context is wrong, because in Magic, the story that you're playing is that you and the other players are wizards. You are planeswalkers that are casting spells at each other, and the land cards give you the mana energy to cast your spells. Why do you need to attach energy to a Pokemon? It already has it. It doesn't make sense. A trainer does not give energy to its Pokemon. It just throws the ball and says, beat the shit out of the other one. Throw some fire at it. Why do you need me to attach a lit match to you or something to make it like you're not a furnace?
It's like lighting Charmander's tail on fire.
Yeah.
He comes with it on fire.
Yeah. He'll die if it's not. So,
which we saw in a very great episode of Pokemon.
That's true. It's one of the best episodes.
Yeah.
So this is what drives me crazy about Pokemon, is that when you really get down to it, they have to build all of their ideas off of something else. The RPGs, they're just Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, whatever. Take a lot of ideas from Digimon. I know Satoshi Tajiri was inspired by catching bugs as a kid, but like Digimon did it first, the card game. You wouldn't think outside of, oh, okay, so half your deck has to be lands, whatever, because that's how Magic works. Not if you're designing something from the ground up, And then you get Pokemon Puzzle League, Pokemon Troze, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, the laziest thing ever. It's like, oh, we want to make a Mystery Dungeon game, but with Pokemon. We'll call it Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. But we got to make them 2 versions so people buy both. This is what drives me crazy about the series, is that when you break it down and see that so much of it is based in something else, and they've built the largest media franchise in the history of the world, but then have the gall to try to patent creature catching in games so they can sue Pal World?
Power World, which is like the true Pokemon with guns, not Digimon.
Yeah. And it's, Pal World is fully wearing it on its sleeve. That is just ripping off Pokemon and Breath of the Wild and Fortnite. Like it takes quite a few things, but it's not trying to hide it, and it's certainly not going to sue anybody over it. And that's what makes me so cynical now about this thing, that this company I know is preying on my nostalgia and knows that I'm not going to make the principled stance and say, no, I'm not buying this one, because they'll get their hooks in me. I didn't think I was going to get Gen 9, and then Arceus was really good. And I didn't think I was going to get Arceus originally until I heard it was good, because Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were so bad. And because the gens before were really bad. Like, they feel no need to actually grow with the industry, to develop stronger technology and better quality products. They're just going to hop on the trends of be like, well, cozy games are in now, so we're going to make Pocopia. The thing is, that turned out really good because they had Koei Tecmo work on it. All that to say, Pokemon is something I'm going to have a lot of feelings about, because it's been around for basically as long as I've been conscious. And it's up there with Star Wars of just like formative franchises that I will always love and will just kind of keep letting hurt me. Star Wars less so. It felt a lot easier to fall off of that, but Pokemon will just always have its hooks in me in a way I can't really describe. And I think it's because of something that I'm doing right now, which is introducing my partner Allison to Pokemon, because I've been begging her for years, and finally figured out a way to do it that's interesting for her. We're playing it in Spanish because her father's from Argentina. She does Duolingo every day. She stays on top of learning Spanish and wants to continue to grow it. So I'm like, this will be great for both of us, because I've played this game a dozen times in English, so I'll know what's happening, and then I can kind of translate it, and you'll translate it from it being Spanish. So we'll be learning together as I'm also sharing this thing I love with a person that I love, and watching her sit and agonize over deciding between Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander, and then getting excited to catch a Pikachu, and being surprised that Misty is a gym leader. Seeing all of these things, I don't know, man, as somebody who doesn't want to have kids, this is kind of a close thing. Not to infantilize her, but to share this love with someone I love.
It's a new experience.
Yeah.
And you get to see it through her eyes for the first time. Yeah.
And you just remember why people love Pokemon so much.
So I know we have to go. And I would just like to say, I think it is beautiful, not only that despite all of your complex feelings with the franchise, you are still finding something genuine to love about it, even as it goes on. But I think it's doubly beautiful that you're still learning how to read playing Pokemon, now just in a new language.
Oh my God. That could not have been a better bookended moment than if we actually wrote it out ahead of time.
I agree with your sentiments. I echo them all. I actually didn't know that Digimon came before Pokemon, so that's going to be my rabbit hole for the night. And I feel super validated because I've always been a bigger Digimon fan than Pokemon, just because it felt like it was doing something different.
I'm going to fact check it real quick because I'm pretty sure it is. It did come first.
Okay. Because everyone would always make fun of Digimon by saying like, oh, Digimon is just Pokemon with guns, which like, yeah, it was. But that like me as like a little boy was like, that's cool as heck. Like I'm with that.
Oh, I was wrong.
Okay. So Digimon came after Pokemon?
Yeah, Pokemon did come first.
Okay. So that's okay. That's fine. But and we'll leave your fact check in the episode.
Yes,
because I think so people could hear that.
I will admit when I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
But even aside from that, I think your point still does stand. I don't think aside from I was going to kind of like push back a little bit on your original point of there being no originality. I think the first couple gens there were originality, and then it starts to fall off. Probably around the time like Black and White comes into play.
Yeah.
And I still think that Digimon, and this is like a whole separate thing, I think that Digimon, like you said, is different or like tries to be different, like we've seen with Cyber Sleuth, like that we're seeing with like Time Stranger now, like Beat Break, the anime. Like I think Digimon does its own thing, even though it is the less original of the two.
Yeah.
It makes itself being original by trying something different in the way that Pokemon doesn't. But that also means that the hit rate for Digimon way lower.
Yeah.
Because Pokemon knows what they want. Like you said, it's got their hooks in you already.
What I was thinking of that comes before, it wasn't Digimon. It was Shin Megami Tensei. That has been around a lot longer, and that is character catching, so it's not a fully original idea. The thing that Pokemon really ripped off from Digimon was the Mega Evolution, which is just Digivolving. Yes,
that's Digivolving, yeah. Yeah, and which I never liked, whereas like the Terrestrializing of Gen 9.
That's the only battle gimmick I like. Like Mega Evolution, I think is gimmicky. The Dynamaxing and Z moves, oh my god, they're terrible. But
they're stupid.
But Terrestrializing, I think, is actually interesting because it adds like something strategically different. Of like, oh, now it's a different type. What do I do now? No, you're right in that they do have some original ideas that kind of have different levels of success, right? Like Pokemon Ranger, I think, is one of the most interesting and underrated spin-offs that they've had. The only thing is the first game is terrible because you'll give yourself carpal tunnel from like drawing in circles like so fast. But the second one, you can build up a meter instead of having to do it like 30 times in a row without getting interrupted. There's some good stuff there, but then you get like Pokemon Channel. Have you ever seen that?
Nope, don't even know what that is.
It's a GameCube quote unquote game where you just kind of watch Pokemon make shows on TV. I think it was trying to build off of Hey You Pikachu, which is basically just ripping off Seaman.
Sounds very AI slop.
It's weird. It's like not really a game, but it's original.
I think it was fun to explore all the gens, and even though we didn't like get to talk about the movies and the anime and like specifics and like that, I think it was fun enough talking about like the main line, which is like the games and like our relationship with them.
And if you think we should do a part 2 where we talk about the anime and the movies,
don't tell me, because I won't do it. I can't. I'm not watching anything past forever.
Oh, we can watch Heroes though. I like Heroes is what got me into Venice, Italy as like a dream place to visit because it's just based on Venice.
Okay, I'll watch Heroes with you. That's fine. Okay. I did like how you like did tie it up and wrap it all together like with a complex feeling about the series and what it is and how meaningful it will remain, even when other ones such as Star Wars for you, and like I think more so also for me, like I fell off Star Wars harder than you did, and
maybe
because you watched Andor. Like I know Andor is good, and I still haven't watched it. You know what I mean? Like, and also like the Marvel stuff too. Like they're in the tank for me, like between their comic books and their movies. But it's nice to still have Pokemon.
Yeah.
Even if it's not a perfect relationship, it's a toxic relationship I'm willing to accept.
It'll always be there for you.
Maybe someday it'll evolve into something more healthy. We'll see. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Filler. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review this episode to help others find it. For more recommendations and explorations of media we love, go to afterschoolspecial.xyz and follow us on Instagram @FillerPod. See you next time.